All right. Now we're teed up for the buyer engagement services track. To represent Netline in the service track, we have Netline's CSO, Strategy Officer, Mr. David Fortino. David, do a quick introduction to yourself, quick introduction to Netline, and then we'll go right into the services track.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Dave Fortino over here. Been at Netline for ages. Netline is the largest content-centric lead gen and also buyer intent product on the marketplace. We were acquired by Informa about 2 years ago now to build an industry first buyer level intent data product that we'll cover a little bit here today, but it's really about providing kind of that last mile of intent and ABM accessibility beyond the traditional account level insights. So yeah, we'll cover a few pain points that agencies are commonly hearing from their clients, but simultaneously and ideally deliver some solutions specifically built on top of our platform and that intersection into HubSpot integration.
Killer, excited for this one. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Let's do it. So yeah, when we think about the ecosystem, especially from a MarTech maturation perspective, it's always been about developing pipeline, right? This is a common need for every marketer, for every agency representing marketing organizations, and every selling team who's downstream derivative users and or beneficiaries of what marketing and or agencies are delivering to them. That said, there's been an increasing amount of lack of clarity, cloudiness, and I would say obfuscated data littering the landscape. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of dead ends that MarTech solutions are delivering to agencies and, more importantly, agencies' clients that allow for marketers and sellers to kind of get themselves in this black hole of B2B marketing whereby they're not able to directly action in the truest form these insights. And so that gets back to having access to real data using real content to engage with buyers. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means and the delta between what's pre-existing across much of the marketplace today. And so the first kind of elephant in the room is really the fact that agencies are under tremendous pressure, probably now more so than ever, at least going back to maybe .com 1 era, and that there's a ton of disruption in the space. There's a ton of constant new technologies occurring. There's consolidation of technologies. There's government interventions. There's Google dramatically disrupting the industry, although this has been rumored for years to deprecate cookies. It finally looks like that's going to be concluded by the end of this year. And so when you're under this pressure, there needs to be solutions clearly put in place that you feel confident about, that are nicely integrated into HubSpot, into your customers' workflows, and make it also incredibly painless for you to represent those solutions to your customers. And so, although these are some of the pain points, there's millions, quite honestly, that you're feeling on behalf of your customers. And so, Alex, I'm sure you hear a lot about this too. Do you have any other kind of perspectives you want to share here?
Yeah, I think in aggregate, agencies are feeling the pressure of the not quote unquote a recession anymore, but we've had a rough couple of years, so they're trying to niche down, trim as much fat as they can, be as efficient as possible, do as much for their clients as they can with each service that they sell. So it's not as easy as it was before by any means, if that's what
Yeah, absolutely. And so part of this just comes back to helping your customers understand who their buyers are. And additionally, once they're understanding truly who their buyers are, it's about getting their content in the hands of the right buyers. And so when I was referencing kind of this obfuscated data sets, you'll I hope have a better understanding of what I mean here, because the context in my mind about knowing who your buyers are goes beyond knowing who your accounts are and or understanding who your ICP might be. It's about understanding specifically what individuals inside what given accounts are actively expressing intent. What are they doing? What are they not doing? And then how can you arm yourself with those insights to scale your content and get that content in front of exactly those individuals And most importantly, have that behavior flow seamlessly through to HubSpot and any downstream workflows. And so when you think about the existing intent landscape, it's largely been commoditized with account level intent data. Account level intent data is very directionally helpful, and that it allows sellers to understand, okay, there's a someone inside this given logo is consuming content around the topics that we care about. That said, anytime we talk to our own sales organization, they look at us as marketers a bit cross-eyed, and that they're like, well, who inside these accounts are doing this behavior? And so we set down a path about 2 years ago, and this was really the thesis for us being acquired, which was to build the first buyer level intent product, thereby providing transparency into things that otherwise aren't available: who, what, when, where these actions occurred, and uniquely even blend offline intent data. The offline intent data comes to us only because of the fact that we were acquired by Informa. Informa is publicly traded, billion-dollar company, headquartered in London, executes about 500 global B2B industry events covering every market segment that you can think of. Intentive delivers insights into not only who's going to those events, but actually down to what particular sessions by title, by job level, and job function those individuals are doing it. You marry that with their online behavior, and you've got a complete view of your buyer's journey well beyond what's just happening on your own website and or with your own content. And so this is actioned very easily and integrated into HubSpot, and we'll get to that in a moment, but I want to just keep kind of beating that home, and that your customers, when they're applying these questions to you about like, how can I accelerate sales? How can I get away from more kind of top of funnel KPIs and vanity metrics to things that translate into pipeline? Intentive is designed to do that. That's via Explorers. Explorers is basically a productized way for us to talk about querying all of this audience data. And so common use cases are about identifying net new buyers and discovering exactly individually who these people are, what they're doing throughout the web. The flip side to that is more ABM centric by monitoring, right? And this is when you'd be loading either a target account list, or even if you want to monitor your existing accounts, you can do that too. From there, you're allocating your topic assignments and so on and setting them up. It's super seamless. It takes only a few minutes. And the beauty is that you immediately get access to about 90 days of historical data. And so when you think about the intent landscape, by and large, they're very expensive products. The intent data is designed to only be captured that point moving forward, and then simultaneously still offers zero transparency into who is actively expressing intent. And so, although that's great, and that all is very helpful for translating existing kind of insights into accelerated and contextualized dialogue with your prospects, an additional way of activating and actioning that data is via lead gen. And so part of Netline's platform in the same exact interface is the ability to take your client's content, launch a content-centric lead gen campaign in minutes, discreetly targeting exact ICPs of your choice. There's a little over 37 million different ICP selections that you can set up and pay completely on a performance basis. If you've got your client's content in hand and you know their ICP and you know a relative budget, this is no more difficult of an exercise than building a CPC or a CPM campaign with Google, with LinkedIn, Facebook, Meta, whoever else. The fundamental difference is that we are distributing that content across all of our publishers' footprint, which includes all of Informa's properties, all of Netline's partner properties, key brands like Wall Street Journal, Harvard Business Review, you name it, it continues on. There's 15,000 of them. And we're explicitly delivering leads directly to your clients that meet the criteria that they decide. The vast majority of people who engage with content aren't accepted because they fail to meet your client's criteria. And so when you think about the platform interface, it's super simple, but it's really broken down into these 4 key quadrants to think about, which is, campaign execution. Clearly, targeting is critical. That's the most important part. Just delivering content in front of irrelevant audiences doesn't serve anyone's needs, and clearly will get an agency fired very quickly. And so the goal here is to spend as little as possible to drive as many highly qualified leads as possible straight into HubSpot on behalf of your customers. If the suggested CPL by the system is either outside of range and or perhaps lower than you anticipated because you want to cannibalize kind of share voice from your competitors, you can bid. Just like, again, we've tried to take all of these existing kind of more consumer oriented marketing motions and said, well, why can't people just run a campaign in the lead gen space like you can when you're buying paid search or running a CPM campaign? It should be super simple. So the philosophy there was to democratize lead gen. And lastly, it's about getting that data and having that data fed real time anywhere you want it. In the context of this session, we're clearly just going to keep talking about HubSpot. And so right here is that. And so the availability of both the intent data product and also first party fully permissioned leads generated from our clients' content all flow seamlessly into HubSpot and also anywhere else you want it to go, because maybe the agency wants to have control of some of this data so that they can create custom insights or create a debrief report and so on. These were just a few logos on here that you'd recognize, but there's literally thousands of locations that data can be sent. The key goals: immediate actioning of data so that it's not just sitting somewhere in isolation in an Excel doc that somebody needs to remember to load. It's going into immediate workflows that your team, especially in an agency, are able to creatively kind of strategize with the client and come up with ideas as to how to best action that data set. And so this is a quick screenshot of Intentive, all of that buyer level intent data being fed straight into HubSpot. And so what you're seeing here are the accounts, the engaged buyers inside those accounts, the type of activities that those buyers are partaking in, their individual prospect score. That's something new. So the rest of the intent platforms out there, they don't have individual prospect scores because they've got no transparency into the individuals, only an account score. So you're seeing also the job function, job level, and then some generic kind of company specific attributes. This is all helpful, but what's most critical is that you build custom workflows using this data. And so what you can do in HubSpot is say, well, anytime Netline's telling me that a company who cares about content that we or my client cares about, but also has a score of 3 or higher, has perhaps engaged with content that's of certain formats, and then has confirmed a project in the next 3 to 6 months, I want to have a custom workflow set up to email all of my contacts in the database at that company with very, very contextualized messaging, perhaps a contextualized CTA, anything that would be arming yourself with these insights that otherwise your competitors will not have, will accelerate dialogue and condense the amount of time and touches it takes to drive engagement. So from a selling perspective, right, your goal as an agency is to not only deliver solutions, but to deliver value as cost effectively as possible for your customers. That's where Intentive and lead gen come into play. The Intentive side is all of that buyer level intent data goodness, straight real-time feeds into HubSpot and anywhere else. The lead gen side is using your client's content specifically to capture engagement from the market and deliver only leads that specifically meet the criteria of your client's campaign. So you can think of it this way. There's these two in tandem represent 100% of the buyer's journey out there. What users are doing on behalf of your clients, what are they researching, and where are they going about doing this? Intentive turns out to deliver about 98% of that transparency, while only about 2 to 3% of all of that activity will ultimately flow through your client's content. And so we see all of our customers kind of go through this epiphany where it's like, okay, we spend a ton of money and time to create content of our own, and there's no downside to doing that. Please keep doing that. But the reality of it is that your buyers are everywhere. They're not waking up in the morning and sitting on your website or waiting for your next email to engage with your next ebook or your white paper or your report. And so you can do one of two things. You can simply do nothing about that and sit back and wait for people to find your content. Even if you're promoting it, that's fine too. Or you can leverage a tool like Intentive to have 100% transparency into what your buyers are doing beyond your own content. that even means your competitors' content as well. And so from there, intentive plus lead gen translates 100% into the buyer's journey. Here's a quick screenshot of a ton of our happy customers. We've got about 14,000 accounts on the platform, a mix of agencies, marketers, publishers, you name it. Everybody's on the platform. We've got a couple of case studies here that we will link to separately in the file. These are some big brands, but the usual entities that you'd expect. But most importantly, how do you get started? What are the next steps? And so there's a full agency program that we have behind the scenes that there's 2 points of contact on our side that we gladly work with you and kind of onboarding you to the platform. It's completely free to get a Netline portal account. You can start simulating RFPs in there for your clients. You can scope out opportunities to understand exactly what audience penetration you might be able to deliver to your customer and or even recommend campaigns. If you're uncertain what to do, reach out. There's direct live chat to the full team inside the product. And we also have Netline Academy, which is, again, another free resource that's really about detailed product training. I think the one thing agencies love about that is that it allows them they've set up their account, they're ready to go, but they don't have a client who's actively ready to execute a campaign. So they'll train up their team using Netline Academy. Everybody's certified. The company can throw our badge on their site. We play that up as well. So we'll clearly promote and engage around certified organizations and make sure that the marketplace understands that this vendor over here, this agency knows what they're doing. And also we approve of them doing it. And so those are great starting points to get engaged with us. On the intentive side, that's a bit more of a higher grade product and you'd need to go through a little bit more dialogue with us. But the starting point is still inside that free Netline portal. You can click a CTA in there to learn more about intentive and go from there. So yeah, I'd love to thank everybody for the time. I know this is a super concise session, but again, the goal here is to clearly provide solutions for you to answer those awkward and painful discussions that I think every agency, rightly so, is being pressured to address, which is, how are these efforts translating into driving pipeline and growing revenues for my customer in this rather difficult market. So yeah, thanks again, Dave Fortino, and I appreciate your time.
I love it. I love it. That was really good. I mean, the only, I think maybe a little more explanation around is, we have this type of agency called a RevOps agency that's going to be listening to this. They're dealing with, connecting the dots in the CRM, dealing with the sales and CROs of the world, the sales teams and CROs of the world.
Yeah.
As opposed to the typical inbound. I think if you're an inbound marketer or agency watching this, it's pretty clear as day, like where I fit into the puzzle. We need you for creative. We need you for content. We need you to set this up as a part of your inbound strategy.
Yeah, the DevOps teams are really far better positioned to use the intentive side of the platform because those insights can dynamically feed a lot of their motions around account prioritization, account assignment, all of that. So we can talk about that another time, I guess, but good point. So
yeah, just so that, we can kind of give them a little bit of a fork in the road. If you're purely inbound, definitely Netline is going to be a great resource for you and a great place to go to kind of get started in the program. If you're RevOps or doing more of that inbound, intentive could be where you head. Either first or after Netline. Either way, the portal's the same for either agency. It's just whether you progress into the intentive or not. This is killer. Yeah, I see the value for the next, phase of agency growth and the next phase of client growth. And you guys do a lot for agencies, not just, putting them in different places in your portal, but you guys are really helping them succeed with the product and giving them a little bit more hand.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? So.
Yeah. And Janine on the team right now, if you're watching this in February, she's awesome. We've been working with her a lot lately. And then there's another team member I don't think I've met yet, but you guys may meet depending on what side you're on. And the resources are all linked below. If you're watching this in the community, just scroll down a little bit. There's more resources. We're going to include a product demo to Netline in this as well. So look down a little bit. You'll see that. And hopefully you guys jump on, and if you need anything else, you know, you can always message me. David, you're awesome, man.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks so much. Appreciate the time. Yeah, and if anybody needs anything, you know where we're at.